Women across the globe have been fighting for equal rights for themselves and for others since the beginning of time. Yes, we are still often faced with blatant discrimination on the basis of sex, but real progress has been made. For inspiration that will drive you to make your own mark on the world, find inspiration in the women ahead who have shifted our culture in meaningful ways. Indian women's history is full of pioneers who have broken gender barriers and worked hard for their rights and made progress in the field of politics, arts, science, law, and many more. The story of how India fought to free itself from the shackles of colonial rule still reverberates in our heart, from the Great Revolt of 1857 to the attainment of independence in 1947. Lakhs of freedom fighters fought to free the country from British tyranny. Undoubtedly, this fight would have been incomplete without the participation of women. Our nation holds an endless list of achievements by women, whether it is the Nightingale of India, Sarojini Naidu, or the Queen of Jhansi, Rani Lakshmi Bai, whether it is Mother Teresa, Indira Gandhi, or Pratibha Patil, whether it is the first Indian woman in space, Kalpana Chawla, or the first women officer, Kiran Bedi, or whatever it's the courageous Priya Jingam with a dream to be in the Indian Army and becoming the first Indian woman to join the Indian Army in 1993. The women in India have proved actions speak louder than words. Kasturba Gandhi and women of Nehru family, Kamla Nehru, Vijay Lakshmi Pandit and Swaroop Rani, Lado Rani Zutshi and her daughters Manmohini Shyama and Janak participated in the national movement and also led the movement in Lahore. The British ruled India for about 200 years. The sacrifices and movements started by the freedom fighters of India brought us freedom and made India an independent country in 1947. August 15 was and still is a memorable day for all Indians and is a reminder of the patriotism and struggle of our freedom fighters. The sacrifices, hard work, and contribution of some of these freedom fighters, such as Bhagat Singh, Mahatma Gandhi, and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, is known to us, while other freedom fighters remain to be unsung heroes. The contribution of women in the struggle for an independent India cannot be overlooked. A lot of courageous women raised their voices against the British rule. Many women took to the streets, led processions, and held lectures and demonstrations. These women possessed a lot of courage and intense patriotism, but their selfless hard work, sacrifice, and struggles are seldom talked about. Namaskar, Adab, Sat Sri Akal, hello, and a very good evening and a very, very warm welcome to an absolutely wonderful and auspicious evening of Independence Day. Thank you for gracing our event, True Independence of Women. I think we're all ready to celebrate the vibrance of Independence Day through our screens. So now let us listen to the spectacular chorus sung and presented to you by the members of Girl Up Ahsaas. Let's just welcome them with a great round of applause.
जहाँ
Guys, now Vibha will take over to the panel discussion along with our guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Prisha. First of all, good evening to our audience and happy 75th Independence Day. And thank you for attending our panel discussion, which will make sure will leave you enlightened. And also, let's cheer for the lovely chorus and astounding monologue delivered by the team. So, let's start with the panel discussion. But before that, let me introduce our speakers. Payel Saha. Hello, ma'am. A highly value driven and seasoned management professional with over 13 years of insightful experience, Payal have extended her expertise majorly in sales and distribution, marketing communication, demonstrated ability to manage multiple priorities, and developing solutions in a rapidly changing environment. She is a motivational speaker, persuasive communicator with an exceptional relationship management skills, and the ability to relate people at any level of business and management. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Talking about our next speaker, I feel Jitna Bolu Utna Kam. Deepak Justin, a fondly called DJ, has trained over 1 lakh people and given over 1,000 motivational talks and keynote and addresses to audience worldwide. As an entrepreneur, he ventured into advertising, events, e-commerce, and training and development. And among his endless lists of achievement, he has earned the title of the Silver-Tongued Orator and is fondly called the rockstar of Toastmaster in India. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you so much, Vibha. Pleasure to be here.
So, if you're both ready, let's finally get started. We are having a panel discussion on the topic of true independence of women, and we will be taking questions at the last. Okay? So, let's kick off with the discussion with a question. And how did you celebrate independence since childhood? Sir, let's start with you.
Okay, for me, independence as a child was freedom from education, freedom from school, freedom from studies, freedom from bullies in the classroom, freedom from class teachers and homeworks. I think that was true freedom for me. And Independence Day was a day which was a day off where we had march past, we had drills, we had music, we had a flag hoisting, and most importantly, we had sweets. I think that probably defined independence and Independence Day for me as a child.
That's great. And, ma'am, what about you?
Yeah, so for me, firstly, happy Independence Day to one and all over here. And it's the 75th Independence Day. So we all are very proud that we are able to witness this day because people had really fought a lot for us. And so we are here as an independent citizen. So for me, for independence, how we celebrate in our childhood, it's all about trophies, and the most important thing that that day we were not into school dress. So I remember that. So you can wear something, something, so out dress. We call this a out dress, no? And you wear, and so the planning started in 2 weeks, 2 days, or maybe a week before itself. What is going to happen? So Independence Day during the childhood brings lots of memories. We are being taught with lots of things, and but basically, the instinct lies in the outdress and the trophies, and obviously, the marching, as DJ had mentioned. So that's all the beautiful memories we thought of when we go back to our childhood. But as we grow up, we understand that independence is not only that; it's a bigger meaning. Independence is giving happiness to someone, connecting with people, influencing people for their better and greater goods. So that's how I see my childhood as.
Wow, it's truly a question which is a trip down to memory lane. Now, contrasting with our celebration as childhood, what do you think independence should be celebrated with? Yes, it's about paying homage to the freedom fighter, but in what context do you think people should pay more attention? Dwell on the past or pay more heed to the present?
DJ will
Okay,
come first and then I'll go. Okay.
okay, fine. So, yeah, as I told you, as children, I think we didn't probably value the independence that was given, at least me. I think it was just another day off, a day to wear, yes, colorful dresses. It is probably enjoy yourself, basking in the sun. And yes, but I think as you grow up, you try to value and cherish and treasure the freedom that is given. And personally, to me, I shared stage space with one of the high ranking officers on one of the Independence Day. And I still remember one of the stories that he said. He was in the line of fire fighting against an enemy which was there on a paddy field. And he said one of his soldiers was shot and he fell into the trenches. He was injured and he fell into the trenches. And this high ranked officer, he crawled across. He crawled through the paddy fields, and he said it was drizzling also. It was extremely difficult. As there were bullets that were whizzing past him, he went across and he slipped into the trenches. He strapped himself and the soldier, and he brought him back to safety. So I looked at him and I asked him this question. I mean, why would you take a bullet for him? Just tell me, why would you take a bullet for him? And he said something that actually defined what independence meant to us as a nation. He said, because that soldier would do the same thing for me if I was in the trenches. And I think it's not just remembering our freedom fighters. It is not just in schools, they say that, okay, why don't you come dressed as a freedom fighter? And I think these people continue to fight for our freedom. And I think each and every single person in the forces, the army, the naval, and the air forces, continue to defend our freedom. And they're willing to pay a price for it. And at that moment, they don't think about their family. They don't think about their children. They don't think about their society. They don't think about their religion. They think about nothing, but they think about the nation first. And that is why we continue to celebrate our independence. So yes, it's one thing for us to definitely salute our freedom fighters, but I'd say there are freedom fighters who are alive today. And I made it a point today at least to send a note. I had a training program the whole day. So I could not actually send a message I could not call them up personally. The people who are there in my list who still serve the nation in the line of fire, I went ahead and sent a personal note to each and every single one of them. And all those people who lost their family members, again, I sent a simple note to them. I guess that is one way, at least one day in the history of this particular year, for us to remember them, to salute them, and to call them up, and to thank them for what they've done and what they continue to do. I think probably that's one way to celebrate the freedom and independence, and that's the way I personally celebrate it today.
That's truly a motivating answer. What about you, ma'am?
Yeah. So, as the DJ explains, taking us back to freedom fighters, for the for everyone who is fighting for us, standing in the border. Maybe it is BSF, maybe it is Indian Army, Indian Navy. So, I belong to a completely background. My father and my entire generation of my paternal side, they all belong to force. I mean, I'm a completely force family baby. I mean, they were all into border security forces. So, this day particularly holds a very close to my heart. I have seen it in my family growing up. So as DJ was explaining a story that takes back up, the uncountable sacrifices they did. And specifically adding to it, I was reading somewhere a story of a Kargil, female officer in Indian Army who was pregnant and still she fought the war. And how she said that there is no way, there is a baby inside me, but still what matters to me is my nation, and that's important. That's my call of duty. What happens? So tremendous salute to all freedom fighters, to everyone who was still standing in the border and guarding us, everyone, whoever is there, guarding the entire nation and entire, so that we all keep safe. But having said that, what Independence Day in the past, shall we dwell in the past, shall we dwell in the present? These are two different aspects. Obviously, what we are, but as I said, as we grow up, we understand independence. As a female, I should say, independence is not only about being independent. When I say being independent, it implies of lots of things. Being independent means being independent in terms of taking charge of your own. For example, if I'm earning lots of money, and that makes me independent, so maybe that is I'm an independent. But if I'm making that money and if I'm helping someone, how can I reach to other person? For example, he can say, okay, fine, for her I'm smiling, for Payel I'm smiling, maybe for DJ I'm smiling. There's a reason of being a smile. That is also a sense of independence. That's how we should look forward in the coming time. And we all the youths who are watching us today and who are growing up, they should have this habit. And please celebrate Independence Day not on 15th August, I request, because it happens on this particular day. We hear a few songs repeating, maybe Lataji singing song, or maybe the few songs. So please don't celebrate it only on 15th August. Let's have that independent thoughts every day for doing something good, for influencing others, for the greater goods of the for reaching to people who really need us to hear. So that's how, coming forward, I would like to place my views.
That's so true. Now, talking more about the present, what do you think is the most important challenge that women face in today's world? Payal ma'am?
Thank you so much, DJ. Please allow me to answer this question. I mean, after that, I'll pass the baton to you. Yes, I have lots of things to say, So, what is the main challenge when I say in terms of women, in terms of independence? So, let's understand when we say independence, we always come to financial independence. But as a woman, I'm saying it is not only a financial independence. There are separate types of independence as a woman. We need to think and we need to take charge of ourselves. First is, I feel as a woman that we are very emotional. Emotions are very higher. So, emotional independence is very much important. Anyone who is suffering from any toxic relationships, please get out of it. Anyone who is suffering from any anger or hatred or anything like this, which is negative into it, emotions, control of emotions is very important. So that's very important. The first one is emotional independent. Now, when we should not think if we think someone is not doing that line that we are expected him or expected her to be with us, that's fine. Okay, you keep your balance and move on. Because if we get angry, it will not be in reciprocation of yourself only, not the other person. Second important part of independence as a woman, I always watch and say it is the financial independence. Whether you need money or you don't need money, please have your financial independence along with you. That will give you, lots of power. But the power of fulfillment, the power that you are empowered. There is and I truly believe it to it. Whatever it is, please have your financial independence safe with you. That's very, very important. I have seen lots of girls and lots of corporate professionals for that way, giving up their job, not sticking to it. But no, it's you who has to get up and take the charge. Just to quote a figure, we have only 5% of the women leaders in the corporate. Why? Getting into the upper ladder, because people give up, because of family responsibility, everything. So you have to balance. Somewhere I don't know how, some thoughts I have. When a man, we never ask a man that how you are managing your family and your profession. No, we don't ask. No, so but we always say no. For a girl, like how is your family going? So we have to make it very very transparent amongst the mass that okay, so until we as a woman don't come forward and take it, the world will perceive us the way we perceive ourselves. That is my strongest point. Thirdly, coming to the third type of importance is my physical independence to gain a good health. Because if I am not into good health, nothing will happen. This is for everyone. For female, I'm saying because we need to undergo lots of changes, hormonal changes, lots of stress. Specifically, when you undergo this, biological clock. Yeah, so it happens in lots of ways. So please take care of your physical health. I heard many of my colleagues saying that I have a family, I cannot get up. To girls, it's your responsibility to give 1 hour to yourself. If you cannot give 1 hour to yourself, you are not doing justice to anyone. If you are not well, you cannot keep neither your organization well nor your family well. So physical independence to get a good health is very, very important. And say bye bye tata to all the what I should say to all lifestyle problems we have. That can be done. And last and not the least, the last independence, what I should say, independent to influence other people for the greater goods, as I was always saying. As a woman, I should go and help other women. As a woman, I should be able to influence other women. As a woman, I should stand up to say, okay, fine, this is my independence of helping him or helping her out. So this, I think, these are the independent, these are the four clauses specifically which we face, and we have to speak up. There are many things else, but precisely these are the 4 points I kept forward. Over to you, DJ.
Okay, I just like to tell in brief, I concur with every word that Payal said. Okay, because I think can add only precious little to it, because I think she covered all the important challenges that women face. But personally, in my opinion, I think women are multidimensional. As she rightly said, I think a woman tries to be perfect in everything that she does. A woman should be a dutiful daughter. She should be a dutiful wife. She should be a dutiful mother. She should be a dutiful colleague. She should be a dutiful boss. She should be a respectable member of the society. She should be a dutiful member of the various organizations that she represents. So I think she's multidimensional, and she tries to seek perfection in each and every single task. Unlike men, if they're focused on their careers, they're just focused on their careers, and they don't probably try to give equal importance. So when it comes to programs like, say, work-life balance, most people, I'm a corporate trainer, I find that a lot of times people who sign up for work-life balance are people who are women, and most men don't sign up. And for them, work-life balance is the time they spend with their friends and the time that they spend with their family. It's actually a triangular equation that they have. But for women, actually, the dimensions are much more. It is also about her passion, her profession. A lady said that in one of the training programs, she said, I was a dancer when I was in school, and I was an excellent dancer. And I was in college. I used to teach the juniors also as to how to put up a show together. And today, that is where my heart is. But that doesn't somehow pay me, because I think I went on to doing my engineering. I went on to becoming a software engineer, and today she's a project manager. So obviously, as a project manager, she has a team under her, and she can't teach her members to dance. So she says, if I could balance my time much more efficiently, I can go back to teaching people dance, putting up shows together. But again, the question of where is time? That is something that is truly eating her. So I guess what is important to women is to understand that they are multidimensional, and they try to be perfect in a lot of things. And women are nothing but an encapsulation of a lot of emotions put together, and they give the right amount of emotions for each and every single task that they do. Just to give a very, very simple example, I don't belong to the city that I currently belong to, but there was a long weekend in my city that I currently stay, which is Bangalore, and my parents used to live in a different city altogether. So that particular city did not have a long weekend. So my friend came. He also belongs to the same city, same hometown. So he said, "Let us drive down." So we drove down to the city. We didn't tell our parents, and we thought it could be a surprise to them. So it was late in the night. It's around 1 o'clock in the night. I knocked the doorbell. Mom opens the door, and the first sentence any mother says when she looks at her son is, "Oh my God, you lost so much weight." That's a universal statement. Mothers don't change. And the second statement she says is, "Come, let's have food." And for that very reason, I did not have food on the highway. So I waited for it because I know mom was going to stuff me with enough food. She picks up some stuff from the refrigerator. She dumps it into the microwave oven, and she serves me food. And then she asks me, "Okay, how was life? How was work? How's everything?" And suddenly she says, "Wait a minute. My son has drove down all the way from Bangalore to Chennai, which is approximately 360 kilometers, and I'm giving him stale food that is stuffed in a refrigerator? No way." At 1 o'clock in the night, mom picks up some stuff from the refrigerator, chops the vegetables, makes every single item, and she makes 4 dishes for me at 1 o'clock in the night. And you know what? My mom is a working lady. The next day at 5 o'clock, she had to wake up. She's a diabetic. She had to make food for herself, which is a sugar-free diet, and she had to make food for others. Not once did she complain. I told her, "It's okay, ma, go and sleep." She said, "No, I will sit. It's a pleasure to see you eating." And she said, "Can I make an omelette also for you?" I said, "I doubt whether I can finish these. And you're talking about an omelette." Well, that's a lady for you. I think that's the way a woman sees her task. She wants perfection in everything that she does, even at probably 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the night when she's got hardly 3 hours. And my dad next day he woke up and said, "When did you come?" So that was his reaction. So I guess, for me, the important task for women is to understand they're multidimensional and to know exactly that, they need to give enough weightage to everything. So probably if there's one focal point, which I'd probably urge women to consider, it is that work-life balance, or probably it's the study-life balance, or it is the balance of all the roles and responsibilities that they collectively take, and they want to perfect them.
That's truly I'm sure that my audience and me, we are totally in awe of your thoughts and your situations and the stories that you're telling us right now. So moving on, from the last decade, there has been an uproar of women empowerment and the word that many people refer to themselves as feminist. Do you think that there is any difference between feminism and women empowerment? What are your views on the two terms? Which of people, most of the people are mistaken in understanding. So do you think that they are the same concepts or different?
Um,
Okay.
okay. I mean, you want shall I go and
Yeah,
like that?
please, please.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So a bit close to my heart, DJ. Just two words. You can see my face. Okay. So that's a very I would like to for everyone who are listening us the feminist, the word. So understand the meaning of the feminist. The meaning of the feminist is like equal rights, gender equality. That we say equal rights and equal opportunities to both the genders. Now, being a feminist, we don't want priority or reservations. We want equality. I repeat, we don't want priority, we want equality. So that is feminism is all about. So people actually say, suppose it comes with a bit of a borderline here and there when it sounds that she is a feminist. Feminist doesn't mean that I am vouching very high. It means gives us equal rights in terms of pay scale, in terms of hearing us out in workplaces, in terms of our professional advancement, in terms of our personal advancement. The marriage, for example, if I talk of the personal life, the marriage is not about dominance. It's again about equality. So there where it comes. Marriage is about respect. You have to hear me, I have to hear you. It's a partner game. So nothing, no dominance should work here. And if any dominating, because we have seen it since years, and still it is there, because still it is a male dominating society. So when I say I am a feminist or I support feminism, I do not want to maybe to wet up lifts of 200 kilos, and I want to be to compete with men. Not in that way. But when I speak of feminism, I'm speaking of cerebral equality. Cerebral equality, the mind space equality, in terms of giving us equal preference and opportunities. On the other hand, women empowerment. Now, empowerment is something else. Empowerment is empowering girls or empowering women. If a woman is not empowered, she cannot fight for her right. So, empowerment is a participation towards feminism. Let me put it in that way. Now, when I speak of women empowerment, there can be four types. I can think of a woman need to be. There may be many, but four main thing as a woman, I need to be empowered in terms of my education, in terms of my awareness, what is wrong and what is right, in terms of my literacy, and in terms of my training. When I say training means my inbuilt views and how I take it forward. For example, let me give a small example. We are being always taught that when a girl when is getting married, so please stick to the marriage. It doesn't matter how much worse it can be. So that's a training given to us. If you're leaving your husband and coming back home, probably you are not being accepted by the society or by your own mother and father. So this training is wrong. So marriage is, or in any relationship, for that example, you are supposed to be happy. So if you are not happy, don't stay into any relationship. I'm talking of a relationship because for a girl I can relate. That's the main part for a female. And as DJ was saying, that mom getting up at 3 o'clock. So that's all of the relationships. It's a relationship with the husband, with the son, with the daughter. Secondly, we have seen from our childhood that if I have a brother and a me, the brother will never go and make the tea. It's the daughter who will always say, please go and make that. So why this has been taught in that way? We should not divide our work into the children. That is again a training, the mental training they're going about. So my request to everyone who are hearing it out, to the reach of to the all parents who are hearing, please, we have to start making our daughters and our sons as responsible in every parameters. It is not only a son and a daughter. It's like we are bringing up the entire society and maybe tomorrow's generation. Now, when I speak of women, empowerment, again, the most important thing which comes related to that is importance of the self-worth and the right. And through the training, it will come to determine their own choice, whether to take this course or not, whether to enroll myself into or not, whether to stay into this relationship or not, whether to continue my marriage or not. So all these things. So there is a difference between feminism and empowerment. Empowerment is the right you are giving a girl to make her own choices, and that's the feminism is all about, to ask for her equal rights. So these are the two different things in terms of me. Over to you, DJ.
Okay. Now, I like this definition given by about feminism by Emma Watson. And Emma Watson, she calls herself as a proud feminist. And she says a feminist is not a man hater. Please don't
Yes.
label me as a man hater. She defines feminism as the belief that men and women have equal rights and responsibilities. It is the theory of the political, social, and economic equality of the sexes. And I think it's a beautiful definition, and I think it is beautifully, again, resonated by Payel, beautifully resonated. I personally believe, yeah, that's what feminism is all about. The minute a lady labels herself as a feminist, you think that she's anti-men. You think that she's going to speak everything against men, and there's going to be agenda bashing. And most men get into also the debate, and they engage in some mindless arguments. Well, that's not what feminism is all about. It's against a person trying to say that I need to be treated equally, even professionally. And so there are some organizations where women have to work twice as hard to earn half as much as probably the male counterparts. And I think that is the kind of equality, even if you're probably talking about, again, going back to the Emma Watson speech, where she says Hollywood is replete with actors who are paid more than their actresses. Why is that kind of inequality? Because both of them have a significant role to play. So I think it is probably that standing up for one's right in terms of a gender is what defines feminism the best. Women empowerment, yes, a few years ago, I was called to give a talk on Women's Day to a group of women. There were about 1,000 women, 1,000 ladies, and I was asked to give a talk on women empowerment. And I stood in front of the August gathering and I said, Happy Women's Day. They also thank you very much. And they said, Same to you. I said, This is one day where you don't say same to you because I belong to a different gender altogether. Okay, jokes apart, I went ahead and I said, okay, what is the one word for power in every Indian language? The word is Shakti, and Shakti is a goddess. Well, and the goddess is a female. I said the very term power in every Indian language signifies a lady. So ask them the question, why do women then need empowerment? Because you are the embodiment of power. You are power. As a matter of fact, you are Shakti. You're venerated in a lot of cultures in India. In a lot of parts of the country, like, and they say that yes, Shakti is what is going to determine our success. So the point of realization about what your power is and standing up for your rights, I think that is where probably the lines of feminism and empowerment do go ahead and unite. And I think it's very important for the society also to provide the kind of opportunities and not to discriminate. Not to discriminate, like, and I love this particular line of thought that Payal said, women don't need reservation, they need more opportunities. And I think that's the case. One good thing is, yes, there are certain societies that are providing opportunities. There are certain industries that are providing opportunities. Women are leading by examples on a lot of other fields as well. So I guess it's very important to realize that, yes, the definitions can probably exist, but most importantly, it is the fact that, standing up for one's right and believing that you have power in you because you are power, you are Shakti. I think that's probably a good starting point for
Uh,
empowerment.
no, I will just stop Viva for a moment and just thank DJ for such a warming lines. DJ, thanks from all women, who heard you now. This word really means to us a lot. The most powerful thing is always Shakti. And I just a one liner, Viva, just allow me to speak for 10 seconds. We all, as a woman, we need not require to be empowered. We all are already empowered, as DJ was saying. We all have a voice. Maybe a woman who got married in the remotest of any village, or maybe a working woman like me. We all have equal voice. We should know when to speak up. That's all. The courage to speak up is required. We all have a voice. Again, thank you so much, DJ. And nothing can be heard better than what you said right now in the forum. Over to you, Viva.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you so much for clearing these two same but different terms. So moving on to the next part of the discussion, as the topic suggests, the true independence of women, we have drawn a few conclusions in situations where women need her independence. Women need independence in choosing her own career, financial independence, as ma'am said, and in making their own decisions. Since 1947, women have gained the right to education, vote, work, and even stand for elections. Now, however, the issue of total remuneration of the labor remains unsolved even in the developed countries. According to UN, women earn 23% less than the men in average. So, starting with the independence at work, the question is, how can a woman reach to a level of success, keeping in mind the gender gap in our society and especially when it comes to leadership? So, what are your thoughts on this?
Would you like to go first? Huh?
Yeah, no, DJ, please. I have already gone first, so I would like to hear you. It's a pleasure
Okay,
hearing you
fine.
always.
Okay, fine. So I think education is one thing. And by education, I'm not talking about certification, but I'm talking about awareness. And the first level of awareness is self-awareness. And the second thing is skill-based learning. When you're able to learn a lot of skills, like, assertiveness, when a woman is able to stand up for her right, when she knows to say no to certain things which are probably not acceptable to her. A very simple thing, like, there was this particular intervention that I was involved in. A lady was not very happy with her team sending jokes and other things which were highly inappropriate. So the point that I asked her in an individual counseling session is this, like, so why didn't you stand up for it? Well, I didn't want to play a spoil sport. I didn't want to be a non-team player. So the question is, like, if they are making gender-based jokes and they're posting it on an official group in the organization, and if you're not comfortable with it, why don't you stand up for it? So I think the key is in understanding who you are at a very deeper level And that, I believe, comes through education. Degree is just one thing. You can probably have a list of string of degrees like to your credit, but I think they may all pale to insignificance if probably you have only a dogmatic view of life. Only when you're trying to apply that particular theoretical constructs, and if you're able to empower yourself with skills, and skills like effective communication skills, effective interpersonal skills, knowing where to draw the line, and effective assertiveness skills. I think it's a mandatory thing in each and every single school that assertiveness should be taught. Assertiveness definitely should be taught, and it should be a mandatory part of the curriculum. In addition to the history and the geography and the civics and the political sciences that we learn, I think the capacity to stand up for your right, I think that is something that will definitely bridge the gap. In my personal opinion, I think there's several other skills also, like leadership, how to lead by initiative, how to lead a hostile member in the team who's got unconscious biases. Today, again, there's a lot of unconscious biases, not in terms of gender alone, but even in terms of geography. And because I guess we are today celebrating independence of a nation which is so plural, that is so plural. I think if you talk about the city itself is divided. It's so divided in terms of its very cultures. So I think being such a plural state, there's a book written by Shantaram. There's a book called Shantaram that's written by an Australian. I love this particular line of thought that he says in the very first chapter of the book. He says, India is so plural a society, so diverse in terms of everything, that if India were to be any other country, by now they would have killed themselves. And I think it's a wonderful line of thought. We have so many differences in terms of our ideologies, in terms of our insights, in terms of our upbringings, our aspirations, our faith, our language, our culture, our heritage, and everything. So the idea is having an awareness and having a sense of respect for other cultures also. So that is another form of education, I would say, learning another culture, learning, trying to be open to opening the doors and windows of your broad-mindedness to other cultures so that you can let all of them seep in and you become a concoction of everything put together. When I think that form of education is given, it was Edward Hubbard who said, education is the manifestation of perfection in a human being. And I think that is moving towards perfection. And as I said, women actually aspire for perfection. So I think education is probably a good start in order to bridge the gap, not just in the corporate circle, but even in the society. Payel, all yours.
Okay. So there are two things actually, Viva, what you asked. One is how to, this gender gap can be minimized or can be brought at equal. And again, in terms of leadership role, how this is going to help. So there are two parts of the question. Firstly, DJ had said education, we are learned, when a mother is educated, the entire family is educated. So education of women is very, very much important. Again, I say I'm a feminist, but again, I say I don't need reservations, I need equality. So I made my point very clear in debate. And again, coming to the point, we all, when it comes to but again, I don't know how much this gender gap can be, predominantly vanished. Because still we are a nation where father is the head of the family, and so that will still be there. The gender gap still. I always thought of, if tomorrow I will have a daughter or a son, I will he or she will have the surname of my husband also and of me also. That's what I thought. In future, if I'm getting married, so still in the society we are not like that. So the gender gap will always be there. However, the more the girls will be educated, the more they can fight for their own rights. So there is no alteration. As DJ rightly said, education is a manifestation for everything we have, right? So there is no other way out. Secondly, coming to the leadership role, all girls who are hearing me out and into corporate, girls, please hear me out. You need not require to please anyone. You need not require to please everyone. You have a voice. You have a style. You have your own genre. Please stick to it. Let me give you my example. People always say I'm very aggressive. Yes. So aggressive is a term which is when I say that particular person is aggressive, it is a state of mind, right? So the people will say, okay, fine. But when it is coming that a woman is aggressive, it is a negative word. It is coming with a negative ring. And I realized it from my experience of 13 years. I'm saying it, and there is a person who was talking to me and he said to me one day, why don't you cut out your aggression a bit, Payel? I said, sorry, my aggression brought me here, whatever I am today. And I am not going to change anything for it. No, sorry. So girls, you have a voice, utilize it, make your own genre, known for your own type of pattern you run into your professional world. Don't get lost somewhere. The problem with us, if we want to success into the leadership role, I would proudly say I work for an organization that's called Xiaomi India. We have, I'm the single female state head they have. And again, in all previous organizations I have worked in different telecom industries, maybe Vodafone, maybe Idea, there also I was the only female area managers they have, because I work typically into front end sales, typically into front end. I mean in B2C, not into B2B also. Now, this journey is not easy, but I tell you, we have an advantage and a disadvantage both. The advantage is the percentage of women who rise to the career, the ladder of the career is very less. So if you are doing good, there is a fair chance that you will rise the pyramid very high. The disadvantage is, being a girl, you will always be misinterpreted. Mark my words, so nothing comes easy. So be ready. I always say, be ready for all sacrifices. I wrote a blog where I mentioned that, if you are ambitious, be ready to pay the price. Nothing comes easy. So there will be lots of sacrifices. There will be sacrifices of this will cost your your relationships, your many things in life, and you have to be ready to pay that for yourself only. So make your own genre, get yourself hurt by others, and most importantly, be fearless, be courageous. Your decision may be right, may be wrong, but have a backbone to speak up. That's very important. So that's how I summarize.
So yes, as we have discussed right now, I guess leading a workplace and its challenges seems like a whole other issue. But apart from that, what do you feel that they are the other barriers do women have to face in developing careers across their working life?
So
Ma'am?
okay, okay. So apart from that, I feel I'll tell you a story. Last week I had a very tough schedule. I was all out with my team, and I was going to different states, and I was exhausted. Today is Sunday, so I came at Friday night. Recently I got awarded by my organization also, somewhere in the good thing. So I wanted to come down at Friday night and to say it with my mother. I stay with my mother. So and I was about to say that, she opened the door, but she told me, I don't have any vegetables at home. Why can't you go to market tomorrow morning and get me some vegetables? Okay. So I was like, your daughter is holding such a good position. She got awarded right now, and instead of her, all you want her to go and bring some vegetables, right? So she made one thing very clear. As I was reading something of Indra Nui also, she also said in the same term, and probably the women who rise up into the ladder of career, they will face the same thing. So it doesn't matter what you were stated of any organizations, or you are leading a group or something. End of the day, when you're coming back home, you are a daughter, you are a dotted wife, you are a dotted mother. So so these things will come. These things will come, and it is our responsibility to balance this thing. Again, I believe success is about balancing. Success is about balancing both the ways. So we all are inhibited with such cultures or such learnings from childhood that we are being supposed to go right, and we should do it. So that is one problem will be there. And as working women and as professionals, we have to take care of it. So I always say that India is very proud of Marikom. So Marikom, India is very proud of Indra Nooyi. So we have to understand, Marikom and Indra Nooyi would not have been here today if their husbands would not have been here. So to get more into that genre, into that leadership role, we need the counterparts also to be equally understanding to us. So that's the most important role, because that's the most problematic barrier a girl can have. Then the second thing, what I feel, that you said in biological clock. There is a term which has been said, biological clock. A girl should get married before 30, and specifically before 26 or 25, she should have her family by 30, and by that time, and then you can move ahead. Or you get married, and then you have your baby, and then you take a break. That's what it becoming told to us. So I would request, it's personal choice, right? So I have seen people who got married before 25 and got divorced before 30. So there is no such. I was reading a blog by Kalki, who is a well-known actress. She said that we should not go by biological clock. I got married before 30. I got divorced before 30. How does it matter? So please come out of that genre, because many girls, if If that is someone is your wish, it is fine. But under pressure of the family, we shouldn't do it. I have seen my best of friends who were very much fantastic into studies in school, probably who used to have a very rank holder. They were nowhere today. They were nowhere today. They are happily settled with their husband. So girls, please make your own identity. That's very much important. So I think this is the most primary, and I think the third important thing which comes as a barrier, is always like, it's a world where you need to fight. Please understand, this world is still known. We this is a male dominated society, and always it will be. It cannot be changed, right? Because they are physically more powerful than us. I'll take it in that way, and with all due respect, and either it should be that way only, because we feel much secure if our father is there. We feel much secure if my brother is there. We feel much secure even my husband is there. So it is all there, but you have to fight your own way out to make your point. And if you have that, you have the guts, you have the courage, you have the fearlessness, you have to say, you have the right to say, no to things you really want to say no. You are there. And one more line, just 5 seconds more to conclude. And if anyone is in pain, it's fantastic. I tell you, if you are in pain, you are the most luckiest person today. Maybe in your profession, or maybe in your personal life, or maybe something coming in between that you cannot go up into personal life. Embrace that pain. Have the chance to translate your fear and anger and pain into the person you can become. So don't get negative into it. You should be like a sponge. You should absorb the negative things, and then you give out the positive things. So that's how I conclude my thoughts here. TJ, over to you. Sorry if I get bit emotional, spoke a bit more. So over to you now.
Okay, Payal was speaking so much about men being the head of the family, men being the head of the family, men being the head of the family. I read somewhere recently, men may be the head of the family, but women are the neck, they make the head turn. Okay, fine. So, literally speaking, the head needs the neck in order to turn. So, obviously, I think that doesn't discount women and their role in the society and in the family. Well, talking about the question, the biggest barrier, according to me, that women face is a psychological barrier. It's not a physical barrier, it's not a biological barrier, it's not the other thing, as was beautifully explained by Payal. It's a psychological barrier. I mean, if you look at history, history is replete with examples of people who stood against the society. I mean, the classic example that comes to my mind is Rosa Parks. She's called the first lady of civil rights movement, and she refused to stand up in a bus that was in a seat that was reserved for people of a different color. She refused to stand up. Malala, she refused to give up on her education. And those were psychological barriers. They're not physical barriers. Even a bullet could not stop her. So I guess if you are able to go beyond the psychological barrier, nothing can stop you. You become an unstoppable force of nature, and that probably nature itself will stand up and say, tell me, what more do you want? So I guess if you can overcome that barrier, you'll find that all the other barriers are much more easier to overcome. Because I think
Exactly.
because women, I think, like, they go through, as you rightly said, like, go through phenomenal pain. So mine was a love marriage, and I keep telling my wife, I saw love has a face, and that face is yours. But and I said, like, my love for a woman went up when I saw you, but when she delivered a baby, I said my respect for womanhood went up. Because I think I'd been through the entire journey, and I know the sacrifices that she had to make, right from a gynecologist telling you have to sleep in a particular position, in a particular angle, to people going ahead and telling you should not sleep like this, you should not sit like this. The kind of sacrifice that she went through the entire journey, I would say my respect for womanhood went up. And the pain that women have to go to just to ensure creation is possible. I think, obviously your tolerance levels for pain is extremely high, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So I guess I think so. Most of the barriers that women face is psychological, and most of them are probably things that can be overcome with greater level of awareness. Otherwise, I think, there is absolutely no problem. And yes, women makes head turn.
That's true. So, another barrier or hurdle, if I may say, women face in their life is financial independence, as ma'am said before. So, our club have previously organized events specifically targeted to women on the topic of managing their own finances. From the surveys which we received, were quite shocking that 4 out of 5 women have difficulty in managing their finances, and most of them have no clue about it. So, pondering on that fact, my question to you both is, what are your thoughts on the fact that financially well off is not the same as financially independent?
Okay, I really have an issue with this particular question because I don't think there's any such thing as financial independence. However much money, however successful you are financially, there's always this little extra that you want, whether it's male or female. So I'm personally against the notion of financial independence. So personally, I would say that, okay, fine, financially not being dependent on another person, if that is what financial independence is, then probably that is what I'd like to talk about. But financial independence to the point to which I don't need to that I don't need to work at all, that I don't need to look at a business at all. That is how a lot of people look at businesses as. When a lot of people step into the entrepreneurial ventures, they say the reason I want to become an entrepreneur is because I want financial independence, and I don't want to work from 9 to 5. But they end up not only working from 9 to 5, they also start working from 5 to 9. So what independence are they talking about? Their time is totally straitjacketed to the jobs that they are doing. Okay, now given the question that women don't need to depend on another person for their monies, if that is what financial independence is, then I would say, like, yes, I'm definitely for it. I would definitely say that, today, yes, women are getting more aware. They have a greater degree of education. They are applying their theoretical constructs much better, and they're fiercely ambitious, which I think is very good. And of course, the sense of balance is again good. So is financial independence important for women? Yes, it is, in that sense of the word. And yes, is there something that women need to aspire for? Yes, again. I will give one simple example of one of the people who was attending my training programs. She's working for a German based organization in Bangalore, and she belongs to a community that wants her to get married when she's in her early 20s. That community is very particular, that they say that the minute you're out of college, you need to get married. And this girl, and this lady, I would say that for the past 10 years, she's been winning the award as the best employee of that particular company. And it's not a small company. It's not a small company. It's got thousands of people in the company. And she comes back with a trophy saying that, see, in the AGM today, again, I won the best employee of the month. Give me one more year. The year that I stopped being the top performer, get me married. And last year she got married. So year before last, she got married. And she told this very clear statement to her husband, okay, I don't want to give up my career for a family, and vice versa. I want both. And what's wrong in me having both? Because you're having it both. And the husband was quite considerate, and he said, please live your life. Forget about the community. Forget about our, upbringing. Like, and we belong to a new society. We are the new age thinkers. Let's move ahead. And 2 years into her marriage, I think she's still doing very well. So I guess, like, in that sense of, she's not dependent on her husband for anything. She binges as far as shopping is concerned, for accessories is concerned. And yes, she doesn't need to rely on her husband to pamper her for that. Yes, Payal, all yours.
Okay. So, actually, DJ has covered almost all the point. But as I rightly said, for every girl, being financially independent is very much important. Again, I'm saying either you need it or you don't need it. But it is important for you. It establishes your sense of security towards yourself. I don't know how the questions is being placed, but if I can, to the best of my understanding, financial will of means maybe I have money, maybe that money can be given to me, from my family or from my husband. So I'm a financially well off girl. But financial independence means maybe independently I have become financially. I don't know. I just read the question in that way, so I will not get much into deeper into it. But my request to all the women, as DJ gave us a beautiful example, there is a woman who got married and she said it's all can happen. And anytime, I'm talking from my personal experience for all women that hearing me out. If there is a chance comes, to choose, that you have to choose between your profession and your personal, always choose your profession. A person who loves you, he will never ever ask you to give out your profession for the personal things. Please understand it. Still I think, still we see that in terms of when a husband and wife, okay, let me put an example of husband and wife, and if the husband is earning more than a wife, then if something needs to be compromised or someone needs to leave the job, it will always be the wife, not the husband. So ideally, this thing should not be that. The thing should be like amongst the two who are financially much more important, much more stable, who is earning more. Ideally, he or she can retain the job, and another one can say, okay, fine. Why it has to be always like that way? No, agar naukri chhodna hua to sirf wife will leave, not the husband. So it cannot be like that. So you need to be and I'll tell you from my own experience, Vibha, why we stick to it. Why many girls, if I was reading a case study where the percentage of people, women, being into a relationship or in a marriage, even being despite of lots of issues, are more because we are not financially independent. We have to be dependent into our husband for our finances. So if more than 50% of the girls say, okay, fine, let me be into it. So it's very important for us, make yourself financially independent, and that will act as a backbone to you, whether you need it or you don't need it. That's all.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really have to appreciate this great thoughts from both of you. So, but another situation we notice in most of the household is even though both husband and wife earn money, but wife's income is treated as a secondary or just an add-on. So, what do you think is the reason behind such mentality of people?
DJ.
Okay, I think it's old school. I think it's really old school because I guess like today it's all a question of competence. And I think there are some people who are earning much more. I think the woman is probably earning much more than the man in the household. And it's a question of I think it takes two hands for a clap. It's that simple. And I guess with the expenses going up phenomenally. And one of the TED Talks I said, like, your salary seems to be a constant, but your expenditure seems to be exponentially increasing. And that's how most families are looking at. So I guess like, and it takes both, and it's a question of not saying that which is better than what. So I guess like that becomes a mindless debate. So I guess if someone thinks that yes, a woman's salary is just secondary and it's just an add-on, but the principal salary comes from the man, it is absolutely being retro to the core. I think today women are equally competent, and I think they're equally providing for the family. And more than that, I would probably say like it is not just the financial stability that they're providing, but I think in the question, in terms of even providing stability for the family, in standing up for every member of the family, I think that is very important for the man to focus on his career. So I guess like a lady can do 5 6 tasks at the same moment. I think Sir Ken Robinson gave a talk, a TED talk, in which he talks about how you know uh, his wife can do 15 things at a time. But he says like, and when he's frying an egg, he switches off everything in the house, and he focuses only on frying the egg. And his wife asks him a question, he cannot even respond to the question because the single-minded focus is on that. So women have the capacity to do multitasking. They probably do 15 things at a time, like, and probably the mind is running on again on a 20 different things. So I guess money is just one particular facet. And I would say that yes, it is important. I'm not discounting money, but I think the other things are important as well. So I guess like that sense of balance has to be established between the two. And if anybody else does interfere in the same, I think like they're not in the picture. The couple has to decide for themselves.
Okay. So, since we are running out of time here, I have this concluding question to both of you, after which we'll end the session. So, the future is equal. Looking at the sport and present, what are your thoughts on how far we have reached to the equal future and how far do we need to go?
Okay, Payal.
Okay. uh, as the entire discussion is getting very energetic and very rhythmic and very nice to hear DJ and his thoughts. So when I think of equality, I think I don't know if DJ will agree with me to it. Still the equality portion is not there. Still there is a pay parity. Still there is a differentiation somewhere in terms of taking decisions, maybe in terms of profession or personal growth. Because what DJ was saying in the previous question, it was fine. But again, if I was talking to someone a very interior of UP and MP, I will name the states of Bihar or Jharkhand. Still, there are lots of states where still this awareness is not there. There still we expect women to behave into a certain culturally framework that's go on with years. So equality, I don't think so. It can only come through education. Without education, without awareness, without realization what is my self-worth when I am in my family and I'm getting married, this will never happen. And I don't know how far we have come a long way. Obviously we have come a long way. The situation what was there when my mother got married, and the situation maybe maybe 30 years or 35 years back, And the situation today, after 35 years, obviously the situation is different. But it has improved. We have become developed. Now we are seeing Meriba, we have seen Maricom, we are seeing Deepa. So there are lots of girls, there are lots of women. We encourage women to come forward. For example, today I'm speaking. I'm honored. I got a chance to speak alongside with a prominent speaker DJ. So that's itself an honor for me. So it's not like that in all forums we are getting recognized. It's not that. In my profession also I'm getting highly recognized. But again, equality, I doubt how far we can get it. Still, we have a long way to go, and this has only happened. Please, my request to all the parents who are hearing me out, if you are a girl child, please don't save money for her marriage. Say, please spend money for her education. She will be capable enough to make money for her marriage. Trust me to this. So don't save money for her marriage कि मेरे को तो बेटी की शादी के लिए रखना है मैं उसको पढ़ाऊंगा नहीं. Don't do it. So that's very much important. Don't teach her negative thoughts. Whatever toxic the relationship has to be, you have to be into it. No, it is not that. Then only the sense of equality. Always teach her that whatever relationship you are going or wherever you are working, the sense of equality is very much important to have. Or else, please say no to that any forum you are being into. So that's how I will conclude. And yes, my words, I'm a bit aggressive, as I say, when I place my words. So as DJ said, Payel is a bit repetitive in saying, man are the head of the family. But with due respect, whatever I am today and whatever all ladies today, it's a fantastic contribution of all men I had around me, from my father, from my brother, from all my beautiful friends I have. So thanks to all the men who made all female, successful into their life. So it's a two-way part. Again, I'm saying we do not want priority reservations. We want equality. Your role, my role as a woman in a man's life is equally important as your role in my life. So it's like on the equal parameters it should be. So that's all. Over to you, DJ.
Okay, I personally believe that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. I'm not discounting the fact that yes, we are living in an idealistic society where things there'll be a lot of parity between genders, between people. There will always be a disparity in terms of the haves and the have-nots between the two genders because we are wired differently. Biologically, we're wired differently, upbringing-wise, and I think 2,000 years of history cannot be washed out in just about a few years. But I think a good starting point is discussions like this, like where I think people are less dogmatic and more pragmatic about how to look at the future and trying to give opportunities much more. And I would possibly say, yes, there are pockets of our own country, where people are just not allowed to get out of their houses. They're actually confined to the four walls of their house. So I think trying to talk about idealism to them is absolutely the most stupid thing that anybody could do. Yes, so I think at the grassroots level, there has to be development, grassroots level, there has to be awareness. And I think as a society, we need to probably work a bit more harder. So will things change? Yes, it will. Should things change? It should. And can things change? Yes, it can definitely change. I think if a simple virus can go ahead and lock down an entire world, I think the possibilities are limitless because I think we are much more capable than a stupid virus. The virus doesn't even have a brain, it just has a contagion phenomenon. So I guess we are human beings with emotions. We are a bundle of emotions. We are actually a bundle of sensibility and sense, which I think we could put together. So by just coming together, I believe that, creating islands of excellence, I would like to compliment this particular team of people, the Girl Up Ahsaas team for doing a commendable job. I think I wish you have a branch in each and every single city and state and town in the entire country. We're able to empower women to reaching a level of awareness and a level of competence and confidence so that they could push forward in life and also educate the proponents of the household also in trying to give women a fair chance. I think that is probably a good starting point. And my last parting shot is this: if women are aspiring to being an equal to a man, they're aspiring for less than their own capability. I think strive for more because, again, as I said, you are Shakti, you are power. You don't need empowerment. You just have to realize that all the power that you dream of is there within you. Thank you so much for making this world a beautiful place. Here's a big cheer to each and every single lady over here, and a happy Independence Day to all of you in whichever part of the world you are, and saluting the tricolored flag, which is India.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for the answer. And thank you so much, DJ Sir and Payal Ma'am, for this enlightening discussion. I had a wonderful time in this session, and on behalf of Girl Up Ahsaas, I truly hope that we get to work in future. So, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
It's a
much.
pleasure
Happy
being here.
Independence Day.
Thank you so much. Very well hosted,
Thank
Vibha.
you, sir.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Many
you, sir.
congratulations to
Thank
the
you.
entire
Thank
team. Nicely done. Thank you so
you.
much.
So,
Thank you so
concluding
much,
the
Payal.
session,
Yeah.
Thanks to you.
over to you, Isha.
The stories, thoughts, and everything both of you guys had to say was beautiful and so inspiring for all the girls like me hearing it. So now let us welcome the powerful words beautifully strung by Atal Bihari Vajpayee and recited by Naveen, member of Girl Up Ahsaas.
सभी को नमस्कार। मैं नवीन पारिक आज़ादी के 75 वर्ष पूर्ण होने पर आप सभी को बधाई देता हूँ। इसी उम्मीद के साथ कि आने वाले वर्षों में देश की उन्नति में हम भागीदार बनेंगे। इसके साथ ही देश को समर्पित अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी की कुछ पंक्तियाँ। ये चंदन की भूमि है, अभिनंदन की भूमि है। ये तर्पण की भूमि है, ये अर्पण की भूमि है। इसकी नदी नदी हमारे लिए गंगा है, इसका कंकर कंकर हमारे लिए शंकर है। हम जिएंगे तो इसके लिए और मरेंगे तो इस भारत के लिए, और मरने के बाद भी गंगा जल में बहती हुई हमारी अस्थियों को कोई कान लगाकर सुनेगा तो एक ही आवाज आएगी, भारत माता की जय। थैंक यू।
No Independence Day celebration is complete without proudly listening to the national anthem. Presenting to you Saransh singing it for us. Saransh, we cannot hear you. Please check into your audio. You're not audible.
नाउ
हाँ, yeah.
सो मेरा आप सभी से अनुरोध है कि अपनी अपनी जगह पर प्लीज खड़े हो जाइए, बिकॉज दिस इज नेशनल एंथम एंड आई विल बिगिन। सॉरी फॉर द इनकन्वीनियंस। सो या, जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंग, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल दलधि तरंग, तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, काहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे, भारत माता की जय। Thank you.
Thank you, Saransh, for singing it for us. I think we're all proud Indians listening to it. We had best Independence Day celebrated. The amazing point of view of such highly intellectual people was inspiring for all of us. Thank you, ma'am and sir, for joining us. A bigger thank you to all the audience for listening to all of it. Thank you to Girl Up Muskan, Girl Up Alpha, Muskurahat, Girl Up Wings, Soul Canopy Girl Up, and other Girl Ups for collaborating with Girl Up Ahsaas for this amazing event. Thank you guys for joining in.